Today is the day that we have the opportunity to live up to the expectation of not only our constituents, but all the residents of the state of California by taking action on a spending plan that will govern the work of state government in our body for the next year. AB 97 is the budget bill for 17-18. This bill is the culmination of months of consideration, deliberation, and negotiation in the legislature and with the administration. Over the course of the last 6 months, the Senate Committee on Budget and Fiscal Review and its subcommittees has held over 65 hearings, all focused on crafting the budget that's before you today. With that, let me, on behalf of all of us, thank the subcommittee chairs, the members of the subcommittee, and the full body of the Senate Budget Committee for their tireless effort and commitment in doing all the extra work, putting in all the extra hours to bring us to this point today. Let me also thank LAO, Finance, and colleagues, the staff. Outside of the public eye, when we are home in our districts over the last 6 months, it is the staff of both sides of the aisle who focus on the budget, who put in countless, probably really, we don't have the ability to calculate the amount of time they spend on every aspect of the budget process and the budget documents themselves. So on behalf of us, I want to acknowledge the role they play in allowing us to do this work that's before us. This measure, colleagues, strikes what we believe to be a good balance that includes considerations of spending, policy reforms, and fiscal prudence. As you all know, over recent years, we've struggled with budgetary constraints that resulted in reduced support for education, sharp reductions in health, human services, and other programs that serve Californians, and lack of investment in many other important areas. The budget before you represents our continued effort to restore and reinvest in important programs and services. Earlier this year, we achieved a significant reinvestment in the physical infrastructure with the approval of the transportation package. With this budget, we continue to strengthen the state's commitment to the human infrastructure, with much-needed additional resources for improved access to healthcare services, continued investment in early care and education, targeted resources for higher education and financial aid, additional funds for the courts and access to justice, and significant ongoing increases to K through 14 education. The budget framework itself is based upon the adoption of the administration's revenue estimates for the general fund and the LAO's property tax estimates. It retains the administration's aggressive reserve debt paydown, but adopts an approach that maximizes the state's ability to fund needed improvements in services. The budget is structured in order to relieve general fund pressure, maximize federal revenue, and use cost-effective means of funding public programs. The budget includes total general fund expenditures of $125 billion for 2017-18, an expenditure level which is $1.1 billion higher than what was included in the May revise. The budget also includes shifts and repurposing of program expenditures with additional emphasis on expenditures among programs to address legislative priorities, as well as increasing spending commitments over a multi-year period. Finally, this budget retains the state's ongoing commitment to fiscal prudence and stability, with a general fund reserve of $1.4 billion and an account balance of $8.5 billion in the budget stabilization account. It also includes additional payments to retire budgetary debt, commitment of resources for state infrastructure, a significant contribution to reduce pension liabilities, and greater budget flexibility in future years. This budget, colleagues, represents a balanced approach, both in terms of revenues and expenditures, and with respect to savings and wise reinvestment. It focuses on reducing financial, social, and environmental costs in the future, while ensuring access to social services, healthcare, higher education, and justice systems today. Spending is reasonable, with all new revenues fully paid for from other budgetary savings and additional analytically based revenue estimates. Again, I believe it's a fiscally responsible approach to continue to rebuild our public programs and savings for the future. With that, colleagues, I ask for your aye vote.